Welcome to episode 10 of Behind Track Limits racing podcast. Today we're going to be discussing Silverstone F1 Grand Prix and all the drama that happened there.
That was a lot.
There was a lot.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mouthful.
But I feel like before we actually talk about the racing, I feel like we should maybe discuss what our thoughts were for the actual layout of the weekend, because obviously this was our first glimpse at the sprint qualifying. What did you guys think of that?
I thought it was so I liked it, but at the same time, I'm kind of annoyed because it's not. I don't think it should determine qualifying. It does, but it really annoys me that it does. Qualifying is qualifying, not the race.
Yeah, I get
We're
what
not
you
supposed
mean.
to call it a race, but it is a race. It's 17 laps. It's
Yeah,
it's
it could affect different teams because of their pace
we
of
obviously
car.
know that Mercedes and Red Bull are going to be on top, but say normal qualifying, you could have a Ferrari, you could have a McLaren. It's
Yeah.
I
think it should be reverse grid, to be fair.
Yeah,
they're going to do it. They should do.
Good.
Sorry, mate. It should be that reverse grid.
No, I agree. I like the way Formula 2 is kind of structured. It is similar, but yeah, I like the way Formula 2 is structured. But
yeah, I feel like it was sort of heavily inspired by the sprint race that
100%.
F2 do, but obviously they didn't do the whole reverse grid thing for where you place and how you qualify for the next race.
That's why I was confused. I thought they were maybe going to reverse the grid. I was like, that'll be interesting, but because it'll switch up the sport a little bit. And I know all the drivers it's just giving us extra practice and it's more for the fans. But I think it would be more interesting if it was reverse grid. So
yeah,
you're just hoping to give George another shot at the points.
Of course I am. Don't even get me started in the sprint race for George. Was it the sprint race? Yeah, he was he started up in the points, and then he had a collision with Carlos that lost him 3 places. What on earth? I was raging because Checo had come on the track like an absolute idiot. Someone else did it as well, and it was so close until they got hit. They didn't get hit, but and Checo didn't get a penalty, although he was starting in the pit lane. That was his penalty, but why did George get such a harsh penalty?
Yeah.
It's really annoying
at the minute, isn't it?
Because it wasn't even George's fault. It was because he had he couldn't his wheel was at 180 degrees and the car was that way.
Yeah.
But Carlos was so rude about it as well. He's I shouldn't even be racing Russell. Russell doesn't deserve to be above me. So I wasn't very happy at Carlos the way he was talking about it. And I was like, well, it's not his fault.
To be fair, I think it's not necessarily aimed at Russell. It's more, I'm in a Ferrari. Why am I racing a Williams? But I feel people have to remember that Ferrari are resurgent in some sense. They're doing better, but they aren't a front-running team at the moment.
You're just a Ferrari hating fan. That's your problem.
I just can't get behind the team in red. I just can't. Don't know why.
No, I do like Carlos, and I have a love and hate relationship with Carlos, but I feel the way he was speaking was more towards George and not Williams. I was well,
that might have been a heat of the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, but he even said in an interview afterwards, he was I think it was in an interview anyway, he was still bitching about it, and I was come on, George is just too good to admit it. But yeah, also he spun in FP1, so other than that, I think that's covering Friday and Saturday, and then we also have Sunday, which was a race. Very stressful.
Yeah,
probably one of the most stressful races ever.
Yeah, I was watching from the National Pit Straight, and then I went to, I'm sure Anna will probably be able to figure out where I'm talking about. The concert bar, the massive 30-meter long one. Yeah. Behind there, I was stood on a stack of kegs, five kegs, just to be able to sit over all the fans and everything.
It would just be you to trip, all of them to fall.
No, imagine
it would just happen to you.
Well, I nearly fell, but luckily though on the other side of the fence there's this massive cardboard pile for recycling, so if I fell it wouldn't have hurt too badly, but
just into the recycling, it's all right.
Yeah. Could you imagine first actual event at the job, and fallen into the trash. But no,
I
it
think we
was.
should mention that you were working that weekend, so
Yeah.
you did kind of weird.
Anna and Ellie and a few of our other hosts were there as guests, and I was there working, which led to some amazing experiences. But
yeah, go over to our
Sounds pretty good.
Instagram to see all the photos and everything. Very jealous of everyone.
Yeah, we will all be going one day.
Yeah, next year
definitely.
Next year we'll definitely
next
go.
year. Oh, we can all go camping.
No, we're not going to go
God,
camping. There's a brand new Hilton hotel that's being made right by Silverstone, which is where all the drivers.
Oh, is that the red one?
Staying. I don't know if it's red, but it's like this a brand new Hilton's being built, and that's where all the teams are going to be staying.
Because I know
year.
It's like opposite.
So we're not going to
opposite
stay in
the
caravans
pits.
anymore. Yeah. That's so smart. Why has there not been a hotel built at Silverstone anyways? Like, imagine all the like trade we'll get. Because like there's not just F1
Imagine the
that goes on.
prizes.
Oh my
Well,
God.
yeah. I mean, if you wanted to stay in the same hotel as the drivers and teams for this one, they were staying at the Silverstone like golf course. And
Why am I only just finding this out?
You
sorry,
in the hotel, like with them.
you seem quite happy with your camping, so I didn't want to like burst your bubble.
My camping was it was an experience and a half.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't see myself camping.
No, the company that I work for actually, so the owner of Silverstone is like really good friends with the owner of this company that I work for, and they have a cottage on site overlooking the track.
I've seen that.
Yeah, Freeman's Cottage. It's like
I saw
right
the Freeman's
the main gate. And we all got to go there for like a barbecue and stuff. So you're eating and you're looking over the track in the evening, and that was pretty amazing. But no.
The race.
Race. Actual racing.
Yeah. started off with an interesting.
I was so stressed because you couldn't see, like, you know how they have like the 1 to 20. Like normally they have that on within a few seconds of like takeoff or not. NASCAR, but whatever.
They got
lights out, should I say? And you couldn't see it, and I was so stressed because like, where's George? Like, has he dropped places? And he did drop places, but like, and then it's like Lewis and Max, and I'm like, oh my God, I had a funny feeling that one of them was gonna crash, or like one of them was gonna DNF, and I said this, and then it happened, and I'm so confused, and everyone's saying, oh, it was Max's fault, it was Lewis's fault, and I'm like, I've no clue what's just happened. But,
so
it was scary.
It's a bit of a tough one. It was a horrific, incident, the 51G.
It was like the worst of the year, isn't it? The worst of Max's career and the worst of this year.
Yeah,
season.
But I mean, I think it was definitely a racing incident. Obviously, the stewards had to give the penalty out because of how they'd been penalising people so far that weekend.
Yeah, because George is like, you can't give George a free place, good penalty.
And then not give anything to
Lewis
that.
None.
Yeah. But a lot of people were saying the penalty should have been harsher because of how it affected Max. But the stewards' stance on every collision in any FIA sport is they look at the collision itself, not what happens afterwards, not what happened just before it, but the actual collision itself, and decide based off of that. So I do think that the 10-second penalty was probably fair. I don't think they should have given anything harsher. Yeah, I mean, because we've been almost in this situation at several of these races. Like Max and Lewis have been like neck and neck coming up to turn 1 or turn 2, and Lewis has backed out so that they don't crash because he's got
the only time he didn't back out. He's like, nah, I ain't backing out now.
It's his home Grand Prix, but also
he's got every right to. He has every right not to back out.
He's entitled to stay where he is at any of the Grand Prix, but he had backed out to make sure that they didn't both DNF. And like, yes, Max has really stepped up this year, but that is where Lewis's experience is coming in. It is him saying, okay, I'm going to step back and make sure that we don't both DNF. And I mean, it was going to happen sooner or later. It was just a shame that it happened at Silverstone, at Lewis's home Grand Prix.
Also, I think that like Lewis thought that Max was going to do like go a bit more to the left or like whatever, and Max thought that Lewis was going to do something else. So I think it was just a miscommunication, and I think Lewis might have like locked up a little bit, or like I don't know if he locked up or like
no. So
happened,
if you look at the onboard, Max turns in to try and shut the door.
Yeah.
But what has happened is Lewis has got caught in the dirty air, missed the apex because of how the wind's affecting his car, and has drifted slightly to the side. Which that's not his fault at all. That's just, the way that the car was reacting to the, the scenarios and things like that. But Max had turned in. So there's the argument that Max shouldn't have turned in as much as he did, and then they wouldn't have crashed. But then you've got people like Christian Horner saying you don't stick a wheel forward in cops. But I feel like if you're taking that mentality, then you're not really racing, because you should be able to overtake anywhere on track.
Anywhere,
there should be like
dedicated
overtaking zones.
Spaces, there's not specific places to overtake, and if Lewis saw that gap and he went for it, that he's got every right to do that. And I think a lot of it's like to do with the fans. A lot of the people are quite annoyed at the fans and just assume that, like, they're Lewis fans and people in the stand are cheating, which I really don't agree with. And I generally think people are cheating because they didn't see, like, on the stand that Max like landed at. I don't know if they were cheating. I don't really know, but if they were, I don't think that's right. But also, I think they were cheating because he got out of the car, or like I don't know what happened. But
so from where I was, which was the corner before the straight before cops, so you could like hear everything that happened a few seconds after it happened.
Yeah,
there was an initial, oh my god, Max has gone off the track. Yes, this is amazing because it means Lewis has got a better chance of winning. And then it turned into,
I think people knew he was okay.
Oh my god!
I think they saw him, but like if you're in the stand where Max crashed, I don't think it's right to be cheating anyways. But I think maybe they were cheating because they saw that he was okay and it was good that Lewis was, fine. I mean, I think from their point of view, they maybe thought, oh, it is a racing incident because Lewis and Max have just crashed. And also the people who are like, I've seen a few things on like news articles and things like that being like, if it wasn't Lewis's fault, why did he still get the penalty? And there's a lot of kind of things you could say about that, but I generally think, coming back to the point you said, that it was because earlier in the weekend some of the penalties that had been given were ridiculous, aka George's again. But yeah,
but that precedent was set by how they were penalising the F2 boys and how they were penalising the women's series as well. So, they'd set a precedent for themselves and they had to follow through. Otherwise, it would have been, unfair, and people would have started. Michael Massey's phone would have just completely blown up with people going.
Emails.
Michael, have you checked your emails?
I don't check my emails during the race.
Today you heard Toto on the radio, and I think Anna, was it you in the group chat? It's like maybe send an email. Like, oh.
Toto speaking.
He was there at the London E-Prix yesterday.
I should have went.
And then obviously, well, that's a whole other thing. De Grassi should have received a bigger penalty, but then in the end he got black flagged, so that was all fine.
I feel like we need to do a Formula E race review.
There was a lot that happened over this weekend,
and that's a good race to do it about. So
there was a lot that happened this weekend. I would be more than happy to do that. Anyways, where were we? I think we all managed to go off topic. What was I going to say? So going back to the fans cheering, there was a loud cheer of, yes, he's off track, this is going to be great for the championship, to an immediate, like, everyone sort of gasped at the same time when the collision actually happened. And then there was it went from like yes to oh my god, is he okay?
No, because I thought Max was still on track. I was like, oh my god, is Lewis just overtaken? And I couldn't, like, it wasn't very clear. Or more to the fact, I was just a bit stressed, so everything was a bit blurry. But I was like, oh my god.
Still up in the air.
And then I was like, that's got to be a red flag, and obviously it was. But also, there's a lot of like things that say that like it was all like Lewis fans that were cheering and things like that. But we also had as well, when Valtteri went off at, I think it was Germany one year, maybe 2018, 2019, when Valtteri like went off, all the fans were cheering then. So it's like, I think it's just to do with like, it's a race, people are there. they're going to cheer no matter what driver goes off, you know.
People, yeah,
fans
they
and-
like to see the drama and the action. And if a car's coming off towards you, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Look at the action's getting closer to me. But I think when people quieten down as soon as they realise that it was.
Because even at Germany, it wouldn't have been the Max fans that were cheering on Valtteri, because, you know, you can't just say, oh, it's that certain amount of fans that are cheering, because it could have easily been a Ferrari fan that were cheering that Max went off.
Yeah.
But you just can't categorise
everyone
different
applauded
fans.
when Max got out of the car. Everyone applauded, and
Yeah.
you know, and applauded
good that
when
he got
they
his
managed
car.
to get the wall fixed and everything. Hello. There's a cat.
And I'm happy that he did. I'm really happy that he's fine. Like,
Definitely.
that was a
That's
bad
the main thing.
Like, I'm not a Max fan, but I don't ever want to see a driver hurt. You know, like at no point do I want to see someone end up in hospital or anything like that.
I'm so glad he was
Sure.
like he was okay. But trying to think what else happened in the race.
Oh,
Seth's fun.
Yeah,
Got to
I know he
guess.
retired. Yeah,
I was so
yeah.
sad.
I didn't
don't know.
actually see what. I have no idea what happened with Seb.
no, it was kind of like in the monks of like an overtake. I think it was like maybe
Yeah.
Carlos and Daniel's overtaking. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it happened during that, or like honestly.
That was
Yeah,
sad.
all I saw
though.
was Seb's out, and I was like, what? What? When?
Yeah. No, I think he spun and something happened with the car. He was like driving for a few laps and then he retired. But
I feel like
I
it sounded like it was something like technical that went wrong with the car. And
also, I never seen Charles overtaking Lewis. I was more focused on Max. And
I think it was Lewis had some slight issue with the car immediately after
front left wing.
Yeah. And which highly entertainingly, not sure if you guys saw this, Mercedes were gluing and sellotaping back on, which was the funniest thing. Like, that's when you know that the budget cuts are real, because they've got super glue and a little squeezy thing and some sellotape going around.
Yeah, it was like that black tape, it's
really
like electrical tape they were putting on the car, and I was like, oh my God.
But I thought there was some really interesting teamwork that we got to see, because they got Valtteri to drive alongside and have a look to assess the damage.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that they knew what to prepare, which I thought was really interesting, because you don't really see stuff like that. Valtteri was the ultimate teammate at Silverstone. Obviously, letting Lewis pass. They said it's going to happen on this lap at this corner, and it went off seamlessly.
I genuinely think though, if Lewis wasn't let past, there wouldn't have been a Mark winning. It would have been Charles. So I think it was good that they did let Lewis pass, because I don't think Valtteri had the tyres to race Charles. So
no,
if we didn't have that team orders, we wouldn't have had a Mark winning. And I know a lot of people want Charles to win, but I'm a Mark fan. The points, so no.
But I mean, it would have been nice for Charles to have won, I guess, because he's had such rotten luck and the Ferrari hasn't been where it needs to be. But as a Brit and as a Mercedes fan, there was no way I wanted to see Leclerc on the top step of the podium.
When Lewis overtook Charles, it was so good.
He
did
that. Cheering, I was like,
it was
so nice.
you could hear it before you saw it on the TVs.
Yeah,
it was like you just knew.
I'm sad for Lando though. I wish he would have got a podium.
I feel like if he didn't have that slow stop, he would have got it.
Same,
but then at the same time, he did say he didn't think he would have been able to push that far, even if he did have a fast stop.
No, because Daniel and Lando together though was really, really nice. It was
Daniel
like,
had
P5,
good
P6?
weekends. Yeah.
Was it P5 or P4 for Lando?
Daniel had
P5,
P5, Lando had P4.
You need to tell everyone the story of how you bumped into Valtteri Bottas.
Oh right,
and you haven't told everyone.
So first day there, his car was parked. All of the drivers' cars were parked by my little office area, and he's got the most gorgeous custom blue colour on his car.
On Instagram.
And I was there with two of the girls from concessions, because I'm on the bars team and they're in concessions, and I was like, do we pose in front of the car and get like photos? And then he rocked up. I was like,
hey.
And because obviously from my little office I could see Anna chin wagging with Alej.
I know.
And then Alej was still there
That
2.5
guy
hours
talks for
later.
England.
He was there
2.5
hours
later.
later, still talking. I was like,
Oh my god.
what is he doing? And
You also
I know
saw
I
Daniel
told-
Ricciardo.
Yeah, I told Mel about this. Daniel walked past, but he was walking the opposite. So my office was like facing this way. He was walking in this direction past the window. So I'd have had to have gone out and then gone round to get to like say hi. And I was in such a rush that I tripped over a chair leg and face planted the floor.
It's Daniel Ricciardo. Who would do any different? Like,
yeah, no, I saw him and fell to the floor, and I was like, great, this is fine. This is
I
fine.
really hope he
Fantastic.
saw that as well.
Oh, I
That was
really
so
hope
funny.
he didn't. I really hope he didn't. No,
Oh,
God, no, it was, yeah. And then I got to go into the Williams hospitality on the Sunday for like 15 minutes.
she did meet George Russell.
No, because
She did meet George Russell.
Mel, the hospitality is completely separate to
No,
like the paddock
I want to hear
itself.
it.
Like Anna was in hospitality that day. Did Anna get to
I
meet
know.
George Russell?
I certainly did not.
No. See, it wasn't just me.
I
She
did
was
nearly
there
get run
being-
over by him though, so it's alright.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember you
I think
saying
that is so funny.
Oh, love that.
Oh, I nearly ran so many people over. If you saw one of the Freeman's buggies or minivans moving around on site, chances were I was the driver and I was raging about everyone. Because we're not allowed to beep the horns at people, so they just like continue to walk in front of you, and it's like great.
Some of them
Planning to
some
go
of them are
anywhere.
like beeping the horns and everyone's like, I'm not letting you through. It's just
Yeah.
like,
No.
it's gonna turn into a bit of a rampage.
Yeah, I was like, how many points for each person? Seb, yeah.
Yeah. So picking up
I
rubbish.
I
What a
thought
guy.
that was so lovely of him. Because you see
Yeah.
so many people like preach stuff online, but you rarely see them actually do stuff in real life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Preach
Like
it.
he was walking around with his little wildflower seed packets that he was handing out, and then he was cleaning up all the rubbish, and he
Oh.
followed the rubbish bin to the point where it was being split to make sure it was being recycled, rather than just like he went like none of he didn't have to do any of this, and he stayed there for hours doing that. Like
Why can't everyone be like Seb? Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
he is
And people used to be like hating
Be
this
like
man.
Seb.
My
People
dad,
used
to be fair, my dad didn't like Seb like years ago.
I didn't like Seb years ago either,
Yeah,
but I like
so-
him now.
I would have squared up to that. Oh,
He has left
joking.
Red Bull, and therefore I am allowed to like him now.
I see how
That's
it
when I
is.
was
I
gonna
see how it
square
is.
up to my dad.
I'm joking. No, but I actually love Seb so much, and like, you know, when people
Watch
hate
this
on
space.
Seb, like, I mean now, like when people hate on Seb, it's like I can understand why people hate Seb in the past, because everyone
Where
hates
do
the winner.
you
Like
get
everyone
the
hates Lewis,
nerve?
everyone hates Michael. Not everyone, but you know, there's going to be some people that hate who's winning, but you can't hate Seb. It's just a fact.
Yeah. In other slightly more exciting post-race fun, obviously the podium and the celebrations, that was quite controversial given everything that had
Yeah.
happened.
Ooh.
What
I
were your
generally think
thoughts
that, like,
on that?
well, I'll go first, but I think that if it was Lewis who had DNF'd, it was Max who won. I don't think there'd be as big of a problem. But I also think it's justified that Lewis was celebrating how he is. It's his own race. I really
Yeah.
liked the touch with the flag. I think it was really cool. I think it was one of probably the best celebrations that we've had. Well, the best celebration we've had this year.
And the
Lewis
atmosphere.
didn't know. Yeah, Lewis didn't know that Max was in the hospital. Lewis knew that Max was out of the car and was okay, like semi okay. But what Lewis didn't know was that Max was in hospital.
Yeah.
But
So,
to be honest, if you do have a big crash like that, it's kind of you just assume you are gonna get checked. Right?
Yeah.
You are gonna get checked over, and you are gonna be doing head scans and all these different types of scans. So, I mean, it's just procedure, no matter
Yeah.
what, like how big a crash is. So I think it was a good celebration. I think it was justified. Like, I don't know why everyone
Yeah.
has a big controversial problem with it. It's
yeah, I
why
mean,
wouldn't you celebrate a win at your home race?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the drivers
If
were
it's the
made
other way
aware
round.
that Lewis was
Yeah.
fine, and Lewis was fine. Max was out of the car. He was walking, and he was going to be checked over on site. They were all told that during the red flag. However,
Yeah.
when Max was actually airlifted to hospital, the drivers were already racing, and especially with Lewis's situation where he is pushing for the win. Mercedes didn't want to disturb that and say, by the way, Max has just been airlifted to hospital. And I saw him get loaded up into the air ambulance and saw it take off because it was right by the main concert stage, so it was kind of impossible not to see. But he wasn't actually told that Max had been airlifted to hospital until post podium, before he got to the media pen. And so a lot of people are saying, oh, he celebrated too much, but he didn't actually know until post celebration. Like everything that happened from then onwards, he said, and this clip has been taken massively out of context. It was in an interview with Ziggo. He said, I don't regret anything about the race except for my collision with Max. But everyone's been cutting it at, I don't regret anything about the race. And that made the rounds.
It's just sort of like a PR standard, you can make a person look a certain way from the way you cut it.
Yeah.
So the thing is, Daniel, Max is arguably best friend within the track and the drivers, is so against replays of crashes because of how traumatic it is and things like that. And meanwhile, Kelly is like, hi guys, have another replay.
Yeah, should we post it on our stories?
Yeah.
No, it's
she was like showing the fans' point of view, and I'm like, yeah, we don't want to see it.
No.
It's because the way that Christian's like, oh, and I think it's like Helmut as well, he was like, oh, Lewis should have a race ban. And I'm like, I really don't think it was, if it was like blatantly Lewis's fault in like everyone's minds, fair enough. But I think a lot of people generally think it's a racing incident. I feel like a lot of drivers, have said they think it was a racing incident. I don't know if they've said it, but like the way they were like implying in interviews.
There was that someone compiled commentators, drivers, both past and present, responses on it, and the general consensus was it was a racing incident. It could have been avoided by both drivers, but it was a racing incident. But I was quite frankly really disgusted by Helmut and
they also
Christian
got lawyers
Horner.
to try and take away, like you can't take it away now. Like
no.
I think the lawyer is more for like how they give penalty to. It's not like against Lewis, but more about how they give penalties and all that.
Why are they like still dragging it on? Like it's happened, it's past.
Yeah.
I feel like it's petty.
It's racing. Do you know what I mean? It's like
they push for more racing, and then as soon as they get more racing and it doesn't go their way, they don't want more racing. This is something that I think needs to be recognised, is that it was a racing incident and Lewis didn't turn in on Max at all. Whereas previously, Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher have driven into their rivals. Mm-hmm. Michael Schumacher drove into his championship rival to win the championship. It's been done previously, and they were lauded for it. They were called the greats of greatest of all time. And yes, they are arguably the greatest drivers of all time. I'd put Lewis up there with them. But what Lewis did is nothing compared to what they did. And yes, the regulations are stricter, but he didn't break any rules, whereas what they did has broken rules. And like half of the rules and regulations that are in place because of Michael Schumacher and Max Verstappen and their actions on track. Like that's the reason why drivers have to be 18 years of age to make it into F1 now, is because of Max, because otherwise Lando would have been in F1 sooner than he was.
But the public, like the fan base reacting to Lewis, like all the racism that got sent to him.
I mean, it was a horrific week after everything that happened with the football and the massive outcry from that. Would laugh.
And everyone's like, you wouldn't see F1 fans doing that. Most of the time you wouldn't, but this just proves that it is here as well, and it's just not in football.
And what I thought that was quite ridiculous was how Daniel Ricciardo posted something immediately post-race about the racism that was being targeted towards Lewis. Mercedes posted something immediately. Lando Norris and Mick Schumacher followed, but it was several hours later. Charles Leclerc then reposted the general racing thing that had been put out, but not many drivers reposted that. There was a massive lack there, and at no point, and this is one of the reasons why I dislike Max Verstappen so much, is because he does not hold his fans accountable. And it was a lot of his fans, because of obviously the racing incident that had happened, that were going on and saying these things to Lewis. And he doesn't hold them accountable. At no point has he gone onto Instagram and said, what has happened has happened. It was a racing incident, but don't
the way that he
treat
reacted,
Lewis this way.
The way that Kelly reacted, the way that Max reacted, the way that Red Bull reacted.
It was very hypocritical.
Kind of fueled for the hate against Lewis, I think. And also, there's a Red Bull account. It was like some Red Bull account made commented on
the clowns.
Germany.
Yeah.
Which I think it's disgraceful at the end of the day, I think.
And also the statement that Red Bull put out was like very
generic.
It was like copied and pasted. Like
And so I was really excited, but at the same time I was really disappointed post Silverstone. Because we'd had this amazing race, and then it had to almost be ruined by everything that was going on.
Honestly, I had to stay out of F1 group chats and stay out of everything, because the amount of kind of blame and hate towards Lewis towards the celebration. I was like, if you're going to talk about the crash, talk about the crash. Don't talk about the celebration, because it's got nothing to do with the crash. Lewis earned that win. Mercedes sent them orders to get them the points. And
the biggest issue that I took with Max saying that it was unacceptable the way Lewis celebrated, Max also said that post Grosjean's crash, which I'd say is 10 times worse than what happened to Max, Grosjean's crash in Bahrain with the fire, horrific. He said any driver that wouldn't get back in that car and race should be fired. They don't deserve their seat. And to then say, I've had this bump, I'm okay, but I've had this bump, and Lewis is celebrating his 8th win at home. Is disgraceful. I thought that was really hypocritical of him. And so
it's obviously getting personal between the two now, and I think it's gonna obviously Toto and Christian, they're just gonna clash, and they're just gonna try and get more interviews. That's what I said. They should get a boxing ring, fight it out in there.
Who do you think would win?
Get it out, guys.
Toto would win.
Toto
would win.
Toto has the size, and also Christian Horner is tiny. But Christian Horner's like a rabid terrier.
He's like a gnome.
He's like a rabid terrier, whereas I'd say Toto is more like a massive Doberman or something.
He's scary. If he came running at you, you would run.
Oh,
yeah, not cool that Top Woods would run at you, but I agree with you there, though. It is getting a bit personal, even between Max and Lewis. Max unfollowed Lewis on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it's getting
petty.
Yeah.
Wow. This is the thing. Everyone has been praising Max for being so mature this season, but that's because he's not had something go seriously wrong. He's been in the lead almost all season. And things have been going great for him, so he hasn't really been put under the pressure in the moment when things start going wrong for him. And now that they are, he's immediately reverted back to angry Max,
his old self,
following him on
Instagram and acts quite pettily, which is a shame, because I've been rooting for him to have this sort of character development.
That
I could potentially like him a bit more, but
I've tried.
I've tried to be a Max fan, if you want to say, but it's just not working. Yeah. But I feel like when the drivers reposted, I think it's the GPDA, I feel like it's a very poor effort of just by reposting.
Even I did better than that. I was writing paragraphs.
Like Daniel wrote something personally, Lando wrote something personally, Charles and Mick just reposted that, but Mick also said something on the side. But it's something that would take 5 seconds out of their day. And it's like Red Bull refused to partake in the Hamilton commissions.
And
investigation, which I thought said a lot about
that
them.
report. If you haven't seen what Lewis is doing with the Hamilton Commission, like generally go give it a read. Like
Insane.
it's so good.
Yeah, I think the Hamilton Commission's already helped an F4 driver, who's I think his name's like Noah Andy or something. He's like,
I've heard that name.
He's black and he's trying to get into the higher ranks of the sport, and I think it's really helped him, which is good to see. Any thoughts on the new car, the 2022 car?
Yes, 2022 car.
Yeah, what's everyone's thoughts on that?
It looks so like some people have been saying, it just looks so big and heavy.
I like it though. I love the front window.
I love the curves. I think it
it
looks very sexy.
I like it.
The car looks mean.
It's not an F1 car. It's not like a classic, but
I'm not sure. I think I need to get used to it.
Yeah, same.
Or
see
the
the
liveries.
cars designs.
I swear to God, I will fight the Red Bull livery designer if he puts the same.
Change it up.
It's been the same one since 2016.
Boring.
Okay, thank you for watching episode 10. I hope you've enjoyed. And just as a general outro, we are just going to take a moment to say that we do support the FIA and F1 stance against racism wholeheartedly and completely. We've tried to be as impartial as possible. We can see both sides of the argument, and we're not looking to offend anyone, just looking to give our 2 cents on the racing that has happened at Silverstone. Racism has no place in our sport nor in our daily lives. And enjoy the podcast or enjoy the video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time.
Bring the action.